Hi, welcome to Full Cup Astrology. I'm Jen Keen, and I am so excited to talk to you about Venus. Venus is about to go through a long story, including her retrograde, but it starts January 31st with a very magical Venus-Neptune conjunction at the 27th degree, which is an extra special point for Venus. Venus is our ruler of money, love, beauty, what we value, and what brings us pleasure in this life. It is really part of how we enjoy this life experience. I'm going to tell you all about the most important details of this Venus transit in a general overview that applies to all signs. Then I'm going to get into your sign by sign. You can check your sun, moon, and rising to get a better sense of how this will play out for you. But if you just know your sun sign, that's fine too. If you want to prioritize, look at your moon and your rising for this one. Those two will have a bit more weight for most people. The moon, because with Venus, we're often talking about an emotional experience. I am also going to break down a bunch of very important dates, and I will leave that in a separate section at the end of the general overview so that you can check the dates. I will also leave them in the description below so that you can go back over this video and look at the dates as they come up, because we're talking about from now at the end of January all the way into May. This is a really big part of the year, and I love talking about Venus. On January 31st, we have Venus and Neptune in a conjunction, and that is happening at 27 degrees, which is where Venus is said to be even more especially exalted in the sign of Pisces, where she already is amplified and intensified. So energies around love and relationships, money and what we value, beauty, these things are going to be heightened and somewhat in better performance. Now, with a conjunction to Neptune, Neptune can be this creative, dreamlike energy that brings dreams into reality. It is art and intuition. It is empathy and compassion and unconditional love. When these two planets get together in Pisces at 27 degrees, this is a moment of feeling unconditional love in a way that maybe we don't notice on a day-to-day basis. Maybe you will be feeling more empathy and love for this whole experience of life, ourselves and other people, in ways that we don't usually feel on a day-to-day basis. This is a really important moment of connecting with these sort of feelings. It is unconditional love and empathy that this transit is really trying to dial in before Neptune's next journey. When Neptune enters Aries on March 30th, this is a big new era, and this will be an 18-year transit, where the last time that Neptune was in Aries was the time when Catholicism exploded all over the world and really took over the world as far as spiritual beliefs and what we viewed as our ideal. So this is a time where our ideals are going to be brought into a brand new cycle and a brand new experience. Aries is the initiator, and Aries is the first sign in the zodiac wheel. Pisces is the end. So this Neptune and Venus journey right now of crossing the bridge between Pisces and Aries, this is a huge deal. This is a big new cycle to start into the first sign of the zodiac and have these new cycles beginning. Now, Venus is retrograding, and that's what this video is about. I'm going to talk more about that shortly, but I think it is extremely important to talk about Neptune's crossover that happens amidst Venus's journey. And Pisces and Aries are signify, because Pisces is this connection to the unseen realm. It is an experience that is connected to energy and infinity. And when planet moves from Pisces to Aries, this is a transition between what it is doing at an energetic level and connecting to the infinite realms that we have in this life before it starts this burst of energy and excitement to move forward in the earthly realm, which is what Aries is going to do when not only Neptune crosses over into this part of our lives, but Saturn is going to follow and Venus is following shortly. And we just had a bunch of eclipses here for the last year and a half. So there's a lot of energy that is being expressed in the house of Aries. Back to Venus conjoining Neptune before Neptune crosses over its journey into Aries, where we have an opportunity to make sure that we have all of the compassion and love, unconditional love and empathy for ourselves, for the people around us, and for this whole life experience before we start this chapter of applying what we have been going through on an energetic level and really putting it into action. It's extra important to have the motivation at the core of our spiritual expression and the way that we are expanding our spiritual selves into this world. Whether you are involved in spiritual art, whether that be physical healing, emotional healing, psychological healing. Maybe you make movies and do photography and you put images out into the world. That is another Piscean expression. If we are being responsible for sharing energy, which we all are, sharing expression through media and photography and videos, which in some way a lot of people on this planet are. These are the ways that we become energetically vast and connected to everybody. But it is also really important because we have so much more capacity for expansion and connection that the motivation at the core of it is unconditional love, compassion, and empathy. And I think that that is some of the questions that we're all going to be asking ourselves as Venus retrogrades back into Pisces are those three things at the core of our experience, whether that be what we are expressing to the world and especially what we are expressing to ourselves. Now is the time to really dial that in and feel as strong in those qualities as we possibly can, because when these planets move into Aries, all of these Neptunian topics are going to be set on fire and the motivation to put things into action is going to be high. Neptune rules Pisces and Venus's journey back into Pisces is going to also highlight these topics. So I'm going to give you a bunch of Neptune things to think about. Neptune rules substances for escapism and drugs of all sorts that we use. Anything that is intoxicating or dissociative. Compassion, unconditional love, empathy, photography, video, films, awakening of emotional and spiritual selves and bodies, awakening of intuition. Neptune and Pisces are the rulers of meditation and psychic connection, as well as spiritual longing and idealism. What is ideal is a really big point to highlight. All of the details of the way that these planets and energies can express themselves in our lives will be different for everyone. But at the core is going to be topics of what really is ideal. So remember that one. Pisces and Neptune rule illusion and deceit. And our psychology, that which is hazy and foggy and hard to see, which is sometimes our own psychology. The ocean. The ocean is vast and dissipating, and everything in the ocean or topics around the ocean that we are working on in this world at this time are all going to be highlighted with this journey. There is so much to talk about when it comes to Venus and especially the Neptune journey. That's such a long one. So both of them, I will have a lot more videos about. So stay tuned for that. If you are liking videos like this and you want to make sure you see more of my Venus and Neptune videos, do hit that like and subscribe and notification bell, and you will see when I upload them. A couple more things with Neptune and Pisces. I like this term, the cosmic womb. This is where we energetically come to term before being expressed as this new beginning in Aries. And when it comes to empathy, this is really feeling another person's experience. This is the ability to not just see and hear and touch our physical world, but this is a time when we are integrating what we energetically feel as a big part of the senses and the human experience. With all of these topics, Venus's backtrack into Pisces is going to have us focusing somewhat on all of these Piscean, Neptunian topics. At the same time, it is what matters most to Venus, which is love, beauty, money, values, and idealism, though, again, I really want to emphasize, is what we value ideal? Is what we value an over-idealization and not grounded in reality? Because Venus retrograde can show us those very things. Here is the list of ways to handle a Venus retrograde cycle. Be aware that big purchases might not go as well as you think. Spending a lot of money can have more repercussions than usual. The things that we buy might not turn out as beautiful or give us as much pleasure as we think they will. Relationship topics from the past could come up. Relationships from the past could come back around. And it is ultimately a healing journey that if things go awry with Venus activities, it's an opportunity for us to look at what really matters. As an astrologer, and as I think many of us do, I really wanted to buy a car and Venus was in shadow. This was one of my first experiences really pushing a Venus retrograde shadow to just see what would happen. It wasn't retrograde. This was a pretty big purchase. As it turned out, it wasn't a terrible energy to buy a car under, like a Mercury retrograde. As far as the function of the car is great. But the aesthetics of the vehicle, she's not the prettiest, but I bought her to do more backcountry type driving. So I didn't care about some of the cosmetic stuff if she had some dents and scratches. But there were some other things that came out along the way that this vehicle has not been the most pleasing experience for me. There are certain mishaps with the sound quality, completely separate from the purchase of the car, but these energies carry forward in the things that we buy. The moment that, for example, we buy a vehicle, that is the birth chart of this vehicle and its relationship to us. And that goes for any big purchases. So it's not the end of the world. It just might mean that you have to redo some things, and that's fine. I still love my car. I'm glad I bought it. I think it just levels out the expectations so that you have all the information you need to make an informed decision about how you want to spend your money and the moves that you make during relationships. So during a Venus retrograde, relationships might be different than what they are when Venus moves forward again. But that's the whole point, is that there is going to be something to rework. Sometimes that means that there's an uncomfortable process with Venus. It could be a time where things like clothing that we love just gets damaged somehow accidentally. Those things are not going to happen to everyone, but they're small little things. And when that has happened to me in the past, it just makes me work with the emotions around that experience. Why am I so attached to this piece of clothing? Maybe it's time for that article of clothing that I used to love so much that got damaged, that it moves on. And that's the same thing with relationships. If there are relationships that are changing and ending, then we need to look at how we process some of the painful sides of Venus, which can be the loss of something we love. It's never an easy thing, but it is something that we exercise throughout life to not have all of those experiences of loss and disappointment build up inside of us too much, that we can process as the experience happens and maybe process things from the past at the same time and release the hold that money and beauty values might have on us. That is another thing that is going to come up for question, including relationships. Do those things have too much of a grip on our internal satisfaction. This could be an energy of showing us where we're too attached to our physical appearance or the expression through beauty and clothing and art. In Pisces, this could be an energy where things dissipate. But because Venus is also conjoining the North Node, this is a time when whatever is dissipating is falling away so that we can make room for where the North Node is taking us, which is our future. Now for the important dates. I'm going to give you the list of dates and talk a little bit about why I think they're important and worth mentioning in this video. And we'll get into more detail in the new and full moon readings. Venus started in Pisces on January 3rd of 2025. On January 28th, Venus starts to slow. This is officially her shadow zone. And this means that when she retrogrades, the furthest point that she goes back to is where we are on January 28th. So remember this day and what is going on. This is when everything that we are going over, we might start to revise, especially during the actual retrograde. That is when we might redo once again when Venus is direct. On January 31st, this is when Venus conjoins Neptune and the North Node. This is a big moment in activation of what's to come. This is a big moment for the unconditional love and empathy that we want to ignite to bring forward into our future. Venus moves into Aries on February 4th, and this is when matters of love can get very hot and intense. There can be a lot of excitement and initiation around romance and new beginnings in love. This is a time where passion is really lit up. Venus in a fire sign brings a fiery expression to relationships. Our fashion can go in a fresh direction. We can feel more impulsive. And because Venus is slowing down in its momentum, we might start to see some of the more challenging aspects of Venus in Aries, which might be impulsive shopping and impulsive purchases. This is interesting energy to have around Valentine's Day on February 14th. It will be in full swing. This is a time where we can catch feelings and get really inflated about the direction that we want to go in. And there's going to be a bit of a wobble afterwards when Venus retrogrades and when it retrogrades into Pisces, potentially. It could just mean that people from the past come back and we get to experience fun and pleasure with people from the past. But watch for our fashion and our preferences to get a little hot and exciting. On March 1st, Venus stations retrograde. This is where it is really important to, from this moment, for the rest of Venus's retrograde journey into the spring, this is when you want to be more cautious about moving big amounts of money around, big purchases, big love transitions. This is fine, again, if it's something that's coming from the past. And if you have a Venus retrograde in your chart, these are things that can override the general rules. But just make sure that it is something that you really want. Things might feel a lot different when Venus moves direct again. March 22nd, Venus conjoins the Sun. This Venus CAZIMI is a moment, and it is the day of. Venus and the Sun combine energies, and Venus becomes lit up. It has more energy and vitality. We are going to feel more energy and vitality for Venusian type things. And it's just a really special moment for Venus and love. Beauty could go really well that day, but it's a small window. Venus is still retrograde, but an important one nonetheless. For the week before March 22nd and the week after, this is going to be when Venus is in the rays of the Sun and said to be invisible. So what's really going on with relationships is going to be even more in our blind spot. We're not necessarily going to be seeing things clearly, and this as a time in March when we especially don't want to be making any big decisions around love and money. Beyond that, it is eclipse month, and that is also a time where we just want to leave things up to the fate of the eclipses and see how it all plays out. With all of this energy, you could just take your foot off the gas during March and just see what happens. Just be aware of what's going on around you. Try to hold that piece of unconditional love, empathy, and compassion for ourselves first at the core of everything that's going on, because when we can't see Venus and she's retrograde, this is a time where feeling love might be a little harder to grasp. And it is in those times where the work that we do to feel it anyway or to accept what's going on, it really does have a huge impact on our lives moving forward and our ability to create more love, because we have this threshold. We have this threshold and this foundation of a solid self to allow things to happen and still love anyway. This all happens in Aries. Then on March 27th, Venus will retrograde back into Pisces. And she will then, on the same day, connect with Neptune for the very last time in Pisces. This one is so big too. This is the very last time that Venus and Neptune will conjoin Pisces in our lifetime. And then Neptune is going to start its journey in Aries, which is another big change. A few days later, Venus will touch with the North Node again. This is another point where our fated destiny, when it comes to love, beauty, and money, is going to be activated. This is about our future. On April 5th, Venus conjoins Saturn. This can mean longevity in love, or it can mean temporarily restricting and depressing the feeling of love. Let me tell you a little bit more about what's happening around this day. So with Neptune conjunction and the North Node, this could have a lot of excitement, a lot of dreamlike qualities to it now that Venus is back in Pisces and she will be further away from the sun. But then she hits Saturn. And Saturn in Pisces, Saturn is a bit of a buzzkill, especially in Pisces. It's not really a buzzkill. What Saturn is doing is it wants longevity. It wants whatever journey that Venus is on to stand the test of time. So Saturn is going to get very real with Venus, and there's going to be a checking point where we want to make sure that everything we're doing with Venus in Pisces can still be grounded in reality. Venus conjoined Neptune, the North Node, all in Pisces. This has the ability to make our dreams come true when it comes to relationships, love, money, and beauty. But it has to connect with Saturn, and it has to make sense to an Earth sign, and it has to be grounded in this earthly realm to make both work and to make both be effective. So it's not to be afraid of this. It's not to worry about this Venus-Saturn conjunction, but know that you might feel, again, a little bit low around this time, or have a bit of news that you don't like. And that's just to make sure that we're recalibrating and doing things the right way with Venus. I'm not too worried about this time around with the Venus-Saturn conjunction. We already had one earlier in January, but on the very same day, Mars and Venus are in trine, and Uranus is sending a sextile energy to both of them. This is an unexpected surprise out of nowhere that comes in really fast and has long-lasting potential. Mars and Venus are the divine feminine and masculine counterparts. Uranus sends unexpected surprises out of the blue. Mars makes it happen really quickly. Mars can make it exciting and passionate, and it's like this ram chasing after what it wants. Mars is also direct now in Cancer after a long journey of reorganizing what it wants out of family and connection and our emotional worlds, our emotional realm. So as much as Saturn can be a day of tension, this is such a beautiful energy of Uranus and Mars and Venus, and I'm excited to see how that plays out for everyone. Definitely let me know on April 5th what's going on in your life and all of these fun surprises that have potential to come our way. – Then on April 12th, drum roll please, Venus stations direct. This is going to be when Venus is at its most powerful. This is when Venus is going to start to gain momentum again from this point onward. She moves back into Aries on April 30th, where she then has a conjunction with Neptune again for the very first time in Aries in our lifetimes. This will happen at 1 degree Aries, and the very same day Uranus is in exact trine and sextile to the nodes. So this is another very fated day. Unexpected, quick things are just really going to be happening for us in March and April with the eclipses and all of this Venus activity and beautiful Uranus sextiles and trines. I absolutely love a sextile and trine from Uranus. That unexpected surprise that we really love and goes in our favor. I think my least favorite transit of all might be a Uranus square Venus. Yeah, ruined clothes, but couches that I had to resell, unexpected love pains and shocks and surprises, and yeah, yuck. But that's not what we're talking about here. This is Uranus sextiles and trines, which are the good surprises, and we get lots of them. But when she's in direct motion and gets the sextile and trine to the nodes, this is looking like whatever we focused on during the March 1st and April 12th, is the exact bracket of retrograde period. Whatever energy that we are integrating is really going to feel like a blast forward in April. After April 12th, to be precise. May 16th, in particular, this is when Venus is full speed ahead. Venus is back to her healthy speed, and we can forget this even happened for another 2 years. Just in addition to these dates, I want to mention the important moons. We have February 27th, a new moon in Pisces at 9 degrees, and that is not in the trajectory of the Venus retrograde, but it is in Pisces. And I will release a video closer to that date. You can keep an eye out for that. March 14th, we have an eclipse in Virgo. March 29th, we have an eclipse, the very last one in Aries. Again, those will have their own separate videos closer to the dates, but the Aries eclipse is really significant. These eclipses are happening while Venus is retrograding through these signs. There are going to be overlapping themes, so you are going to hear a lot more about this Venus journey in the moon videos that come out while Venus is still retrograde. And we'll talk about some of the smaller transits then, the shorter ones that have less of an influence. But those are the dates. Those are all of the really important things to watch out for. I will list them in the description below so that you can take note, write them on your calendar. When events happen, just put it in your back pocket and think about it. And once Venus is direct on April 12th, then you'll have a sense of what that was all about and maybe what the big picture of the fated eclipse journey has in store for you. Now I'm going to just get into a brief sign by sign just to give you a sense of what part of your chart this is happening in. I will talk about it in greater length in another video, but thank you so much for being here. If you liked this video and you would like to see more of what is in the year ahead for you, I have written out 2025 planners in PDF form. They are new moons and full moons for the whole year. And they were designed for people who don't know a whole lot about astrology, so they're easy to read. They're brief and to the point, but they talk about how to use energy every 2 weeks. And I talk a lot about the Mercury cycles there too. So every month you can see what Mercury is up to, how to best use that energy, and a little more information on Mercury retrogrades and how moon cycles can really work for you. I will link that in the description below, as well as link to booking readings with me. Would love to see you there. Thank you for commenting, sharing, just being here. It's really fun to talk astrology with you. And now let's get into your sign. Virgo, this is a really exciting time of your life. You have all of this activity with Venus in your 7th house of partnerships and 8th house of intimacy, deep connections, psychological healing, and transformation. This is a time period where you are going through fated experiences with people that are meant to be in your life. This is marriage partners, significant relationships of all kinds, work, your best friends. These are the other people that are contractual, and that can sometimes be a karmic contract as well. The 8th house is where you could go through complete psychological transformation. So Venus here could mean that you change your values completely. You might change what matters to you with your appearance, with your relationships, how you spend your money. This is also the house of other people's resources, so you might learn how to energetically reprogram or do some adjusting so that you're able to receive from other people. Let that energy in and let that help come through you. This is an energy that does not come naturally to you, Virgo. You are usually the one who's comfortable being in service and giving to other people. But when it comes to receiving, that's not always your specialty. So I really like this energy for you because this is a time where that could really change. And the balance of energy between you and another person can take on a whole new meaning. And when Venus goes direct on April 12th, you could be feeling a lot happier with the results that you're seeing. Enjoy those partnership changes, enjoy the unconditional love and romance. Regardless of where in your life it's coming from, Virgo, it's going to be somewhere. You just might have to look under the rug in the right places. I'll see you next time. Libra, this is work and partnerships for you. So this is your day-to-day life, your habits, your routines. If you have any unhealthy habits that revolve around dissociating, then this is a time where those could easily be revised and they could be replaced with habits such as meditating and connecting with unseen realms and putting into place different ideals and practices that just make your days go better and make you feel better overall. When Venus moves into Aries in your 7th house, this is when partnerships are going to be a lot more exciting, a lot more fun. And what really, it's going to take, just give it until April 30th to really start to show and take hold. Retrogrades can be frustrating in that if you are someone like me that likes things immediately and lacks patience sometimes, this is a time where things might slow down before they get really exciting. And we do need to exercise some of that patience before the end of April and May, when, well, this is perfect for Libra, is that when things start to build momentum in May after this retrograde period, it has the potential to be overwhelmingly exciting. That if we don't kind of find this balancing point and this patience point, then we can ride too much of the roller coaster of heightened energy and low crashes. So this is a time with Venus retrograde where we get to balance and smooth out our expectations and our desire for things to happen quickly, so that when they do start to build momentum, we can stay a little bit on the ground and really enjoy it rather than getting too heightened and too carried away. This is great news for you, Libra. Having a revamp to your 6th house is going to make you more productive and happy in a day-to-day way, and your relationships are going to be a big part of that. See you next time. Scorpio, this is happening in your 5th and 6th house. So this is your fun, children, creative projects. This is a wonderful time to revise anything that brings you joy. The things that you do for fun, your hobbies, your creative self-expression, and who you truly are. Are you really living and thriving in your God-given talents, or are there some things to go back over and make sure that you bring with you into your future so that your future is a little more fun? This can also have to do with children if you have them, and there might be some routines and things that you are changing when it comes to how you raise your children. Routine is a big part of this journey. That's what your sixth house is all about. To me, this is blending the two and bringing your creative self-expression into your daily routine. Maybe your work means that you have to revise some of the things that you do for pleasure. These topics could really overlap in any way, any configuration, lots of different ways. But habits and routine are going to be changing, and maybe that allows you to have more fun. You could feel really motivated when Venus and the Sun are in your sixth house in March. That could just be a time where you feel productive. And so some of this motivation of reworking your pleasure and maybe time with relationships, maybe time that you spend creating, this revision process is going to help you feel more motivated in your daily activities and feel more motivated in your routines and how you take care of your health. This is especially true when the Sun travels through Aries every year for you. Overall, this is great energy to have this transit and this experience, Scorpio. Be the most authentic you possible, and at the same time, put that into your daily experience, and you're going to make the most of this transit and experience all of that unconditional love for your daily routine and your children. That might be a given, but if you have children and that's part of the story, there will be more unconditional love available to you and your family, and that's going to feel really good. Or for your creative projects of any kind. This could be unconditional love for you, your authentic expression, and how you put that into material form or just have fun. Thank you so much for being here, Scorpio. I'll see you next time. Sagittarius, this is your fourth and fifth house. This is a sweet place to have Venus retrograde. This is home, your internal world, your family, the place that you came from, the people that you live with, the way that you were raised. This is a time where you're going to be going back over topics around intuition and your home and family. There are going to be some fated experiences that happen with home and family when it comes to the eclipses. And at the core of these fated experiences is going to be more love, a healthier expression of financial abundance and workings, and just the higher octave of Venus, which is wonderful to have attached to your home, and fifth house, which is creative self-expression, being authentically you, your creative work, your children. I could see some Sagittarians expanding their family, or your children are growing and you need to rework things with your home on a physical level, or maybe your family and the place that you came from and how that gets poured into your children, or how places of origin are limiting your creative self-expression and who you truly are. Do you have things that are holding you back from feeling like you can just be uniquely you and feel that love and romance with yourself or with other people or with your experience with life and the things that you do? What can you dissipate and break out of while Venus is in Pisces in your fourth house, connected to home and family and where you came from? And how can you leave some of those layers behind to make room for the way that you want home to be and the way that you want to feel when you are being as authentically you as possible? Enjoy this one, Sag. Thank you so much for being here. I'll see you next time. Capricorn, this is your third house and your fourth house. So this is all about your communication, short distance travel. Vehicles are ruled under the third house. Siblings, cousins, neighbors, close relatives. These are people and experiences in close proximity. And that goes really well with home. So ultimately, this is going to be about changing energy in your home life when Venus goes direct in Aries and once she moves into Aries. But there's something that needs to be reworked, maybe with your neighbors, maybe with the commute to work, maybe with how you manage short distance drives and getting things done when you're at home. Maybe figuring out ways to change your commute and spend more time with your family. Ultimately, this is going to be about feeling more love at home, experiencing more beauty at home. You could want to redecorate and revise home-related stuff or car-related stuff. I would wait until Venus goes direct in April, of course, and when she gains momentum in May, ideally. But this is a time to do research, look at what it's going to take so that when Venus goes forward, you have all the details and you're ready to take action. During this time, you could be reflecting on your inner world and your expression and the things that you say and how that reflects love, how that reflects unconditional love for yourself and for other people. Capricorn is an energy that doesn't express and connect with love as much as some of the other signs do. But a Capricorn doesn't necessarily feel this on the inside. They might feel like their expressions of love are to the extent that is maximum for them or that's normal with other people, but there's more of a frigid energy and a lack of softening and expansion. And this is just the Capricorn energy. So everyone is going to have an influence of all of the energies in their charts. But for Capricorns especially, when Venus goes retrograde in your 4th house and your 3rd house, this is a time to rework how you express what's going on in the inside, the love that you feel for yourself and for other people, and how that comes across. And maybe fine-tuning some stuff in our inner worlds too, where you get to readjust your baseline existence on the inside and just feel more love for yourself and for this life experience, which is another thing that Capricorns can struggle with sometimes, because Capricorn is so focused on the work part and the discipline and what it takes to achieve. And there is a coldness and a heaviness to the tasks that Capricorn has in this world. But this is an opportunity where that has a chance to soften and more love to come in. So I really love this for you, Capricorn. Thank you so much for being here, watching, liking, subscribing, sharing, commenting. I love it. I'll see you next time. Aquarius, this is in your 2nd and 3rd house. So this is all about what you value, what really matters to you. This can be resources, your possessions, abundance in general. This is a time where you're going to be dialed into money and your values compared to some other transits, as well as expression, media, writing, 3rd house topics like siblings, cousins, close relatives, neighbors, short distance travel, things that are in our close vicinity. This rules vehicles as well. So what do you value with those topics? What do you value when it comes to your possessions? What do you value when it comes to vehicles? How much money do you want to spend on these things? How much money do you want to spend on travel, short distance travel that is, more like commuting? Media and writing could be here, so you might be spending money on writing or media of some kind. It could be that you value communication, and so you're going to spend money on learning a new language and a communication course of some kind, learning public speaking or learning a new language. The 2nd house is your voice too, so this could be a time where you're taking vocal training work, and it could have to do with just improving the avenue of expression overall. And what a lovely time to do that. I just think with Venus in such strong focus, and it's going to be over Valentine's Day, a wonderful time to work on our avenues of expression when it comes to love and romantic love, family love, self-love. I think that expression is a way that we can really amplify that energy, and that is what this Venus retrograde is all about. It is amplifying love in our lives in all the ways that it shows up. And for you, there's going to be talk about your love for money, your love for your values and your possessions, and what that means to you. Thank you so much for being here, Aquarius. We'll see you next time. Pisces. Well, this is extra exciting for you. This is your sign. You get Venus back in your sign again, and this is another opportunity to revamp how you show up in love. This is the sign of self, your body, the way that you balance self and other, and how you express love to yourself. I think this is going to be the biggest thing. Pisces is a wonderful energy for empathy and compassion and showing love to others, but how much do you give back to yourself on a regular basis? For Pisces, I think this is an opportunity to be more self-focused. And again, the North Node here is amplifying that too, that any leaks to other people, which is also what you've been going through with the Saturn journey, this is about keeping a bit in your container for you, especially with Venus matters. So love, money, pleasure, anything that you do that is more Piscean, like the parts that can create more of a struggle in our life, like dissociating or substance use. If there's some of you that this connects to, then this is a time where you're going to be reworking how you derive pleasure from those things and how much pleasure really is in that, or is there something else that gives a similar effect that you would prefer to invest when it comes to pleasure and love and art experiences. The second house is money. So when Venus is in Aries, it is going to be all about what you value, the money that you spend on yourself, the money that you spend in general, your possessions, your self-worth. This really goes well with the love that you're giving yourself. When that goes direct and moves into Aries, you are going to feel like you're leveling up to a new place when it comes to self-worth. And it is going to be an energy that just is. You don't have to force it. You don't have to shout it from the rooftops. It will just be, and you'll embody it, and people will feel it and respect it. And it could change everything around you from really honing in on these love changes that you're making for yourself. Let me know how this is going in the comments below, Pisces. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next time. Hi, Aries. This is happening in your 12th and 1st house. So this is a time where love could be hidden. There could be love going on behind closed doors, in secret. Maybe there's some background work being done right now. This could be more meditative. This could be your connection to unseen realms. This can include hospitals and places overseas. The 12th house is places that are away from and separate from our regular day-to-day life. This is a time of rest. So you might just need a break when it comes to some of these topics. Aries, more than other signs out there, might feel like Venus-related topics are harder to get in touch with, that love is hidden or harder to connect with. It could just be that you're experiencing more love secluded from day-to-day activities, that you get to go on a retreat or a vacation with a loved one that is something from the past that you're redoing. Could be more time in the bedroom. How it plays out matters a lot less than connecting with topics around love that were in your blind spot maybe, and realizing that there are some shifts and adjustments that can be made, that when Venus goes direct in your sign, that's when you're going to be feeling really amped up on the vibrations of Venus, and she's going to help you feel more attractive to everybody. Even if you don't feel more attractive to everybody, other people are going to see you that way, and you're going to get that feedback and that validation, which can be a lot of fun. Also a period to really work in your favor. On April 30th, Venus will move into your sign, and you will have her for May. So enjoy that, and you get to have her in forward forward motion after this retrograde reworking and adjusting too, which means she has adjusted and leveled up and reached a new place of opportunity that she can pour into you in that time. No matter what happens during this Venus retrograde, if there are periods that feel like it is hard to get in touch with love and beauty, don't worry, you are going to get the best of her in May when she comes into your sign. And because this journey is happening in Aries, she is helping rework parts of you that get to feel more love and pleasure and beauty and abundance afterwards. I like to think of retrogrades as the slingshot, that what you pull back might feel temporarily slow and backwards, but when that's released, the momentum that comes as a result is worth it. And that's what this story could feel like for you. Or fasten your seatbelt and hold on to your hat, as they say. This is going to be a fun ride for you. And let me know in the comments below. Would love to hear from you there. Thank you so much for being here, Aries. I'll see you next time. Hi, Taurus. This is happening in your 11th and 12th house, but Venus is your ruler. So this has a lot to do with you too. This is a time where you might feel a little less energy and more sluggish, or these topics are just going to be emphasized all that much more. Your 11th house means that you are revamping how you show love in your community and networks. Could be that you're revamping how you derive pleasure from friends and networks. And you're going to feel like love could be a bit more hidden when Venus is in your 12th house in Aries. This is a time where the reworkings can be more celestial, more energetic. You might want to spend more time alone with loved ones, and you might have a secret relationship. This is a time when money can dissipate and be lost easier as well. Sometimes it's because we need to, and we need to make purchases, but this is a time when Venus is in Aries that I would not be making big changes with investments, especially when Venus is retrograde. When Venus is direct, if you have foreign investments or something to do with foreign places with money, that's an exception. But do wait until after April 12th. If not May, when Venus is more full speed. When Venus is in your 12th house of Aries, this is a good time to meditate on topics of love and practice the energetic expression of love within you, and how what goes on in an energetic form inside of you, or what you can connect to energetically, can really change your friend dynamics and your whole life. The emphasis right now is in those friendship circles. That's where the North Node is. And if you haven't seen my North Node video, I will link it in the description below. That'll give you more information about this 11th house stuff. Regardless of a retrograde cycle, Venus here can bring friends back from the past in your 11th house and just have you enjoying more pleasure from friends as you figure out what you want to rework going forward. Overall, Taurus, this is about rest and time away and some internal subconscious work with Venus and energetic when it comes to abundance and love, feeling it in yourself and with other people. There could be some things going on in the background that you are not aware of, or you're keeping some secrets yourself. And there's a lot of energy with friends and networks and community. Great places to have Venus. Enjoy this transit, Taurus, and I will see you next time. Hi, Gemini. This Venus retrograde is happening in your 10th and 11th house. So in March, when Venus retrogrades, you are going to be going back over the themes that you've experienced in February. Maybe you're going to be revising and redoing some of the things that happened in February. And in April, when Venus goes direct, you will have a whole new perspective on reputation is part of the 10th house, career, status, how other people see you. The 11th has to do with your networks, your community, your acquaintances, your community. These are different groups and organizations that you might be a part of. You are going to be questioning how you show up in the world, how these networks see you and what really matters to you, what you value, what you find beautiful in yourself that you want to share with the world. With Saturn in this part of your chart, the 10th house, you are going through some tougher lessons when it comes to status and reputation and how you present yourself to the world. These don't need to be difficult situations, but you might be more self-reflective about some of these things, and you might have certain situations show up that make you stop and think about what it is that, about how you want to portray yourself, about your persona, and what really works for you and aligns with what matters. It could be that things to do with money and career are more in the focus. And if this is more career related for you, then this could be your career networks. You might be going back over past connections, and this would be a great time to actually go back over past clients, past communities, and not necessarily looking for new clients and new networks and communities, but seeing what you can redo or rework within those in ways that do align with your values, because that is a big thing that Venus represents, and you want your networks to align with what matters to you. When Venus goes direct on April 12th, you will have a clearer sense of finances, beauty, what you value, and how it relates to reputation, career, and those people that you surround yourself with. Thank you so much for being here. I look forward to chatting more about this fun Venus journey with you, and I'll see you next time. Hi, Cancer. This is the 9th house and the 10th house for you. This Venus journey through the 9th house can relate to topics of teaching, having teachers come in, overseas places. This can represent travel. This can just represent foreign people, foreign places, foreign concepts that come into your life and help you figure out what matters to you when it comes to your belief systems. There's going to be some rewriting here, and you might have people from the past and foreign experiences. Maybe you are revisiting some foreign places. And it is here that you are going to get a different outlook on life and expand with Pisces. It is probably going to have to do with expansion of your connection to unseen realms, energy, and what that really means to you to connect to the world in energetic, more subtle forms. When Venus is in your 10th house in Aries, this is more about what you share with the world, your motivations to share it with the world, and the fire and energy that you have to bring to your work life, your career, your public image, the motivation you have to be seen in this world. The 10th house can also represent your status, so something can change there, especially when Venus goes direct on April 12th. Look for that, for changes. Maybe a status change could be something like a new job title, getting married, becoming a parent, those sort of titles that we have. And if that is the case, whatever is changing in your public image is something that is going to be really lovely, that you are going to appreciate, that is going to bring more abundance and align you with what matters to you and align you with what you value. That's what Venus will do, especially again on April 12th when she's moving direct. But this whole journey from now until then, these are the topics that are going to come into question, and you are going to be going back and forth over some of these things. You might have clients in foreign places, and that's part of this career change. Maybe you have a job that is in something you haven't done before, it's somehow foreign. Lots of blends of how this could show up. But that's the general gist, and we will talk about it more along the way. Thank you so much for being here, Cancer, and I will see you next time. Hi, Leo. This is your 8th and 9th house with the Venus retrograde transit. Your 8th house is represented by Pisces, and this is going to be an area where your psyche transforms. You can feel more intuitive. You can have a deeper, more spiritual understanding of your psychology and how your mind works, some of the subconscious shadow patterns that you might have. This is a death and birth of some kind, or a rebirth. So sudden transformations, sudden reversals, this can have to do with other people's money, other people's resources. You might have to go back over some finances and resources with a significant person and redo some things during this transit. On April 12th, when Venus goes direct, you will feel better about your financial exchanges with other people and how other people support you. The 8th house is a house of intimacy and deep bonds. This is where you give and mostly receive support, and there could be some rebalancing to be done there. The 9th house, when Venus is in Aries, for you is going to be about your beliefs about the world. This is where teachers can come into your life. You could be a teacher. This is an energy where foreign places, foreign people, foreign things that are just outside of what is usual for you have a lot of lessons, a lot of higher spiritual purpose than what maybe meets the surface. So this is a time where you are going to want to look around you for signs and symbols and inspiration to build a new perspective and maybe just expand on the current one that you have a little bit, especially when it comes to topics of spirituality. The 9th house is that arena in your life, and you're going to be connecting those two. So you could find that your subconscious and your psyche, or maybe deep bonds with another person, are helping you transform your spiritual perspective and your beliefs about the world overall. Let me know how this is going for you in the comments below, Leo. Thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to more Venus talk along the way. I'll see you next time.